Do you know that in 1967, Christians were accused of being the root problem to our ecological crisis in Science magazine? It was suggested that the scripture of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 28, where it says, God gave to man dominion to rule over the earth, that this was interpreted to mean that instead of nature being viewed as sacred, it was viewed as a disposable commodity that human beings were not part of, but above. Of course, there were others that claimed it was because of their faith that they were actively involved in helping endangered species and caring for forests and promoting recycling, etc. So the big question today is, which type of Christian are you? Do you show thought and care to the earth, to the land and the sea and the air and the water and the plants and the animals? Or are you somewhat indifferent? Are you carelessly roaming the earth, or are you a caretaker of the earth? This coming Wednesday, April 22nd, marks the birth of the modern environmental movement of 1970 called Earth Day. 1970, let's go back there just for a second. The height of the hippie and flower child culture in the United States. 1970 brought the last Beatles album, the death of Jimi Hendrix, Simon and Garfunkel's song, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Protest over the Vietnam War was at an all-time high. Americans were slurping leaded gasoline in their massive V8 engines. Industry belched out smoke and sludge with no fear of legal consequences. Air pollution then was commonly accepted as the smell of prosperity. The word environment appeared more in spelling bees than it was a topic on the news. Most were oblivious at that time to environmental concerns. The founder of Earth Day, Gaylord Nelson, was then a United States Senator from Wisconsin, was inspired by the energy of the anti-war movement. And he thought, if I could just get that same kind of energy around the environmental issues, there could be real changes that could be made. Well, in 1969, there was a massive oil spill in Santa Barbara, California. And Gaylord announced this idea for a national teach-in, he called it, on the environment. And as a result, on April 22nd, 1969, 20 million Americans took to the streets, the parks, the auditoriums to demonstrate for a healthy, sustainable environment in massive coast-to-coast rallies. I kind of remember this. I was 11 years old around that time, and in about 5th grade, and we started learning in school about don't litter, right? And that it's our responsibility to help clean up other people's litter if we see it. So one morning, I remember I took to the road of our country, the road in front of our house in the country in New Jersey. Yes, there's country in New Jersey, it's not all highway. And I took a bag with me, and I happily started along, and I'm filling my bag with all the litter along the road. And I came home, proud to share what I was doing with my mom. And she said, "What is that?" I said, "This is all the litter I picked up along the road. I'm cleaning it up." She says, "We have enough of our own garbage. You don't need to be bringing home other people's garbage." What crazy idea is this? Where did you get this crazy idea from? So I explained how we're learning in school about taking care of the earth, and she was convinced that the teacher did not mean for us to pick up trash along the road and bring it home. The difference one generation can make. Well, now it's 51 years later, and there are real environmental issues. Climate control, endangered species, toxic waste, dumping sites, conserving resources, clean water, and the list goes on and on. And as Christians, we're not really talking about environment and ecology. We're talking about creation. Part of being a Christian means that we care for the creation that God gave to us. Did you know that in the Old Testament there is no Hebrew word for nature? There's just this word creation. The word creation does carry this theological tone to it. It's a Bible word. It makes a statement because the word itself, creation, indicates that there's a creator, and it isn't us. And the Bible is also very clear on who the creation belongs to. And again, it isn't us. Psalm 24 says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it." Psalm 50 verse 10 says, God says, "Every animal in the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills." The prophet Haggai says, "The silver is mine, the gold is mine, declares the Lord Almighty." The Bible is very clear on who the earth belongs to. It belongs to God. It is ours to care for. We are the caretakers. So what are we doing to take care of the earth? Now you might think, Deb, I am just one in 7.8 billion people on the earth. What can I possibly do to help? Well, just think for a moment, if 7.8 billion people did one little thing differently to help the earth, what a different world we'd be in. Look at some of the positive effects from this pause in our environment due to this COVID-19. Air is visibly clearing in some parts of the country where smog is a way of life. But for now, let's just look at the United States and the 331 million people here. So I'm going to give you an example, because I like visuals. I think they're helpful. If everyone conserved 1 gallon of water a month, not even a week, a month. That means not letting the water keep running when you're brushing your teeth, or not waiting for it to get cold in the faucet. Put an ice cube in it. Let the water go warm in the glass if you're going to drink it. Put some ice in it, right? Don't let the water run until it's so hot for your shower. Conserve 1 gallon a month. If 331 million people did this, we would save almost 4 billion gallons of water a year. 4 billion gallons of water. So I want to give you a visual example of what 4 billion gallons of water looks like. It took me a little while, but my daughter's a math major, so she helped. So, an average swimming pool that is 24 feet long and 4 feet deep holds about 12,000 gallons of water. I had to look that part up. Okay, so 12,000 gallons of water for a swimming pool, a standard size. If 331 million people saved 1 gallon of water a month, it's equivalent to 333,000 swimming pools full of water. 333,000 swimming pools. It just kind of blows my mind. Our little can add up to a lot if we're passionate enough about creation to change a habit and encourage others to do so too. So what will you do to be a better caretaker of the earth, of creation? Consume less, recycle more, reuse, repurpose, plant a tree, adopt an animal. Well, this is just part 1 of a creation series that is just to get us to start thinking about God's creation and our part in it. In the weeks ahead, we'll be looking closer at what God created and our responsibility in it. Let us not carelessly roam the earth, but let us consciously be caretakers of the earth. Thanks be to God who created every living thing and saw that it was good. Amen. Let us join in singing For the Beauty of the Earth. no matter what our circumstances, thanking you for all our blessings and asking you for guidance every day of our life, every moment of our day. Amen.